In the book Tribe on Homecoming and Belonging by author Sebastian Junger, he makes an interesting proposition about two totally disparate social phenomena. On the first, he talks about a number of Europeans, a considerable number of Europeans, who after coming to the New World from civilized, Western, enlightened Europe, did something curious. They went off and joined Native American tribes. And he asked the question, what would inspire them to do that? Why would they leave the quote-unquote civilized world for this kind of tribal life? And he makes the question and the proposition that maybe there was something missing, something lacking in this Western culture. And he talks about that in contrast with another social phenomena. He writes as a veteran himself, from this perspective of veterans returning from war. He asks the question, why is there increased mental illness and suicide among military members who return home from war? What causes that? And he said, maybe it's in the military, and that's a problem of the military, but maybe there's a larger issue here that has to deal and invites us to look more seriously at our society and what's missing in society. And if we think about veterans who come from a situation where they are all working for a common purpose, where there's a strong sense of unity and the need for each other, come back to a very individualized, stratified society, we understand why there might be challenges. That they aren't given avenues to share their story or to share their experience. And he also talks about how it's interesting if you look at trends following September 11th or during World War II, that the number of people who needed mental illness help went down. And the reason was, he posits that the reason is that those people were helping with the cause. Were helping to do something. Were helping with drives. They had a sense of purpose and mission. So our readings today also invite us to reflect upon this contrast of sort of individualism as we see it play out in a unique way in the United States, and also communal, the communion of saints, and our common call. And we see that play out in our first reading with the figure of the devil and the communion of saints. We hear about the devil who is isolated, who is thrown into the abyss, who is shut off for 1,000 years. We're not meant to take that number seriously or as literally. It's a symbolic number. The evil one who's shut off, cast off. And that's ultimately the goal of the evil one, to isolate us, to divide us, to have us at odds with each other, to separate us, to take us away from the community, to take us away from other people, to take us away from a relationship with God, so that he can have his way with us. Contrast that now with the communion of saints we hear about, this great witness of people who gave their life for the faith. Especially we hear about in this reading today, the martyrs. Now imagine this perspective also from St. John. John, who is writing this some 40, 50 years after the resurrection of Jesus on the island of Patmos, reflecting on what he has witnessed in these first 40, 50 years of Christianity. He has seen in a very personal way how the evil one has tried to destroy, to divide, to isolate Christians from each other, or isolate or divide the Christian message. But he has also seen on the flip side this great communion of martyrs, this great communion of saints, his own buddies, men and women who inspired him to give his life for the faith. He's the only lone apostle who hasn't been martyred at this point. But he knows his experience and the power of community and the power that these witnesses brought to the community and to his own faith. He knows the power of community and what community can do. Maybe in these days of Thanksgiving, when we haven't been able to gather as we have in past years, we're sensing that too. That we're not made for isolation. We are made for relationship. That we are made for other people. And thank goodness we have a communion of saints to help us. A communion of saints of people who are here with us today and people who await us in the world to come. So today I invite you to take some moments to reflect, to think about, and give thanks to God for this communion of saints who helps us to journey together to Christ. If you enjoyed this video, I invite you to subscribe below and help us to preach the good news of Jesus Christ in our world today. God bless.